The Art of Noticing by Rob Walker. Paying attention is the only thing that guarantees insight. It's the only real weapon we have against power, too. You can't fight things you can't actually see. Look out a window. Spend 10 minutes looking out the window you most persistently ignore. Find one in your office or your bedroom or wherever. The one you so take for granted that you forget it's even there. Examine the edges of what the window makes visible. Find three things you've never noticed. Describe the scene in front of you. Next time you encounter a window that's new to you, stop and look. Study the view, tally the details, look for movement. Think about what you can't control. See what happens. Change is to could be, and you become more mindful. Rotten Apple is an amazing conditional thinker. On a casual walk through his neighborhood, he can reveal exploitable details of bike racks, explain how plastic traffic barriers are weighted by water, and stop mid-sentence to collect some stray milk crate or other discard for future use, always noting in effect what could be. You don't have to be a street designer to enjoy the benefits of conditional thinking. Look for an answer instead of the answer. Can shift and broaden your view. Take in your physical environment carefully, then move to a different one. Now, sketch the layout of the room you left. It doesn't need to be a detailed recreation, but strive to capture the basics of the space, including what is in it, the positioning of the doors and windows, for instance, and the footprint of the furniture. Try it. I think it's taking inspiration from the city, he says, just noticing when there's a new building or there's a new retail store and being open to seeing the city in a different way. For a while, Todd taught improv at the famous Upright Citizens Brigade comedy organization. Maybe the most important thing you could train an inspiring improviser to do, he says, is listen and observe and stay fully open to the possibilities of whatever his or her fellow actors might be saying or doing. Thus, the famous yes and rule. Whatever your partner says or suggests, you never contradict or disregard it, you embrace it and build on it. Practice this kind of openness to your environment. Look for flickers of human individuality amid the routine of the everyday. Imagine how that flicker could be amplified and extended, how a fleeting moment can be remade into an unforgettable one. Engage with your world and say yes and. In the PBS Digital Studios series Art Assignment, Jace Clayton, also known as GJ Rupture, offered a simple set of instructions. Go for a walk outside, he advised, but make it a point to head out in the direction that seems the most quiet. Keep going until you find the quietest spot in your vicinity that you can. Now stop and be in that place. Take a moment to absorb it, as his instructions put it. Clayton also suggested you document where you are and upload that documentation to social media with the tag hashtag the art assignment. That's fine, but to me, it's not required. Just make sure you really follow through in absorbing what you either hear or don't hear. Monitor your sonic profile. In a brief essay for the Smart Set on the subject of noise, writer Bert Brunner takes note of a woman named Julia Rice. In the early 20th century, Rice founded the Society for the Suppression of Unnecessary Noise, leading a campaign to force tugboats to cut down their loud whistle signaling. It succeeded. However, Brunner pointed out, Rice seemed to have enjoyed quite a bit of noise in her life. Her 6 children played instruments, and the family allegedly kept a number of cats and dogs. She probably would have classified this as necessary. Indeed, the difference between sound and noise, let alone unnecessary noise, can be subjective. I suspect most of us, like Rice, consider the routine noises we're responsible for in the course of daily life to be not only unobjectionable, but yes, necessary. And maybe we're right. Certainly, I don't think I cause any sonic difficulties for everyone else. On the other hand, what do you really know about your personal sonic profile? Spend just a few hours or a day monitoring yourself. Listen to and think about the sounds you make, walking, typing, clearing the dishes, talking, singing along with a favorite tune. Take notes, experiment with making as little sound as possible, and then with making as much sound as possible. And note how this changes your concentration, the way you move, the speed at which you perform routine tasks. Hunt for a feeling. Ernest Hemingway, in the course of offering his thoughts on just what it is that makes a good writer, complained that most people neither truly listen nor truly observe. To underscore the point, he threw down a gauntlet. You should be able to go into a room and when you come out, know everything that you saw there. And not only that, if that room gave you any feeling, you should know exactly what it was that gave you that feeling. Try that for practice. To monitor our surroundings is to focus on what's outside ourselves, what we see, hear, smell, feel, and perhaps even taste. But sometimes what really marks a place is something less specific, a feeling within us. MacLean, who is British, has made smell maps of Amsterdam, Edinburgh, Milan, New York, and other cities. In Amsterdam, she took multiple walks with dozens of locals, working with them to identify 11 core smells that represent the city and plotting the locations where one might experience them. Sometimes she focused on details of some more micro smellscape, the way retailers open doors have an olfactory effect on a portion of a single city block, for instance. And of course, MacLean's work confronts bad smells, investigating, for instance, the smelliest blocks of New York City and the various combinations of stagnant water, dried fish, and cabbage. MacLean offers a handy PDF guide for conducting your own smell walk at sensorymaps.com/about. She calls this a smelfy kit. I'll quote you some of the basics. Be alert for curious and unexpected smells, but also for episodic smells specific to a particular area, flowers or cooking, let's say, and background smells that are less intense but suggest an olfactory context. Walk slowly and note at least 4 distinct smells. She calls this relatively passive approach smell catching. Write them down, noting the location, the smell's intensity and duration, and your own reaction and thoughts. Try smell hunting, crushing leaves, for instance, or actively sniffing at a wall or other object, and note 4 more. Collect 4 final smells using either method described. Discuss your findings with fellow smell walkers, if appropriate. Choose a smell that summarizes the area. The contrast between what's caught your attention and what hasn't can be instructive. Just take a half hour anywhere and really notice what you notice. Sometimes what we need is the confidence to believe that what we notice actually matters. After all, if nobody else ever mentions it, we might think it's just not that important. Get over that feeling. It's precisely the stuff everybody else has missed that ought to make us think twice. Why do you always notice this, and why doesn't anyone else seem to? Hunt the infrathin. Everybody knows that human beings have 5 senses: vision, audition, gustation, olfaction, and somatosensation, better known as sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. But that's not really the whole story. You don't have to touch an open flame to feel its heat. That's because of another sense called thermoconception, the ability to detect temperature differences. Close your eyes and bring your finger almost to your nose. Again, there's no touch involved, but you can sense where your finger is. This is proprioception, our sense of bodily spatial relations. Other senses include nociception, or the detection of pain, equilibrioception, a sense of balance, and mechanoreception, or response to a mechanical stimulus such as a vibration. A particularly handy thing to discern in the smartphone era, actually. We have a sense of time. Hunger is a sense of sorts. Depending on how you define the term, you could argue that humans actually have dozens of senses. Trying to figure ways to explore a non-obvious senses can be a little daunting, but perhaps Marcel Duchamp can help. In what seems to be one of the lesser known of his many provocations, he introduced a term that seems important to his work and that he toyed with but never truly articulated, making it a thing easier to offer examples of than to define. The term infrathin. Here's one example of infrathin offered by Duchamp: the warmth of a seat that has just been vacated. J.D. Russell, in a paper on the subject, took a shot at a definition. The infrathin is, in general, a separation, a difference between 2 things. I don't find that terribly satisfying, but let's hang on to it for the moment. Detect imaginary clues. The artist Linda Barry writes an occasional advice column for the website of the Paris Review. She once gave an interesting answer to an unusual question about staving off boredom. Specifically, an inquisitor identified as tipsy in Texas wanted to know how to entertain oneself without drinking too much. Barry begins her response by directing the reader straight to the bar. Get a ride to one, she advises. That's a good walking distance from your home. Don't bring your phone, get slightly tipsy, and head homeward on foot. But before you start your trek home, she advises, think of a question, big or small, you'd like answered. As you begin to walk home, possibly getting a little lost along the way as you are tipsy and phoneless, she writes, tell yourself that you will encounter 3 clues to the answer to this question in the next 90 minutes. Tell yourself one will be in the form of a person, one will be the form of trash or something laying on the ground, and one will be something located above eye level. Barry's full suggested exercise involves writing when you get home what happened, what you saw, how it answers your question. Whether you do that, or even whether you actually get tipsy or not, follow the basic framework. Come up with a question and use some variation of Barry's parameters, maybe adjust it to the environment you'll be traveling to seek 3 clues to its answer. Perhaps Barry's advice really will result in an answer to your question. Whatever the outcome, it's likely to be unpredictable. In less than 2 hours, you'll have a big experience that boredom won't know anything about because it's still on your phone, she promises. Even if you write out your findings, she adds, boredom can't read your handwriting. StoryCorps has published an amazing list of hundreds of potential questions broken into multiple categories. While they are listed in no particular order, here are the first 11. Start with these. Who has been the most important person in your life? Can you tell me about him or her? What was the happiest moment of your life? The saddest? Who has been the biggest influence on your life? What lessons did that person teach you? Who has been the kindest to you in your life? What are the most important lessons you've learned in life? What is your earliest memory? What is your favorite memory of me? Are there any funny stories your family tells about you that come to mind? Are there any funny stories or memories or characters from your life that you want to tell me about? What is your proudest? What are you proudest of? When in life have you felt most alone? Donate time. Maybe you feel pressured for time. There's too much to do, no opportunity to relax. Concentrate or pause to appreciate the world. This sense of personal time famine is not uncommon. To address this condition, one group of management scholars proposed a surprising remedy. Give some time away. Researchers divided their subjects into 2 groups. One group received a gift. They were directed to spend time with themselves, and in some cases granted an unexpected time bonus by being let out of the study early. The other group was directed to spend an equal amount of time on someone else, cooking a special meal, writing a letter, helping a neighbor with some tasks, collecting litter in the park. Afterwards, members of each group were asked how whatever they'd done impacted their feelings of time famine. The result, according to the researchers, those who spent time on others reported feeling like they had more time than those who spent time on themselves. Why would this be? The scholars hypothesized that a time donation increases a sense of self-efficiency, defined as that rare feeling of being able to accomplish all that we set out to do. Crossing an item off your personal to-do list may not have that same payoff because it also reminds you of the rest of your to-do list. But helping your neighbor clear out his garage is a self-contained accomplishment, something you got done that had a specific, tangible impact. Mindfulness can be a confusing concept. The term seems vague enough to be defined however you wish, but it needn't be intimidating. A child could do it. In fact, the New York Times published a lengthy interactive package on the subject of mindfulness for children, which defined mindfulness as a simple technique that emphasizes paying attention to the present moment and that accepting non-judgmental matter. One exercise, an audio guide narrated by mindfulness instructor and author Annika Harris, lasts 5 minutes and involves a small stone or rock. We'll pay attention to what it's like to look very closely at something, noticing all the details we see right now in this moment. Harris soothingly begins. Maybe this sounds ridiculous, but set aside any "I'm not a child" objections and at least consider the spirit here. Sit on the floor with your legs crossed, Harris continues, and place your focus rock in front of you. Rest your hands on your knees, sitting up straight but staying relaxed. Feel your feet and legs resting on the floor and your hands touching your legs. Close your eyes and focus on your breathing for half a minute or so. This moment has never happened before, Harris says. Each breath is different from the last. Every moment is new. Take another few seconds to reflect on that and to breathe. Our experience will equal what we have paid attention to, whether by choice or default. William James.